Hello, everyone, and welcome to Swipe and Travel with Jake. I hope you had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. I had a great one. I got to see all my family and some of my friends for New Year's as well, so it was great. I got some pretty nice equipment too to upgrade the quality of these videos, including this brand new Canon R50, which is awesome. It looks great. It looks fantastic. As well as these Rode mics, include this one right here, and the one you're probably listening to, the Wireless Pro. Attach the camera, some great lighting, all that stuff. Anyway, so while I took a break from the channel, I did sort of do one TikTok slash Instagram reel. I'm going to start doing more of those in the future. But the biggest thing I did was I made a website for the channel, swipeandtravelwithjake.com. And on that website is a beginner's guide to, learning how to use credit card points and miles. So I wanted to sort of go over it in a video. Like it's a little bit more of a condensed version of the website, but I wanted to make a video on the channel to go over it, and that's why I'm at the desk instead of standing like I normally do. This is not going to be normal, but there's just so much information here that I can't really do it in the normal fashion. It's a very dense video, so I hope you are prepared and whatnot. So let's get into it. So this is the complete beginner's guide to credit card points and miles. So everything you need to know to get started and maximize your credit card rewards. So we're going to start with some terminology. It's going to be a few slides of terminology, I think 4 of them. And the first one we're going to talk about is transfer partners. So transfer partners are airline and hotel partners that the card issuer has partnered up with to allow you to transfer your card points to the partner's rewards program. Usually the transfer rate is 1-to-1, so 1 credit card point equals 1 transfer point to whatever airline or hotel you're at. Sometimes this changes. It's not always the same. I know, for example, 1 American Express point is actually 2 Hilton points. So that's something to keep in mind. But most of the time it's 1.1. And for the examples we're going to talk about today, it is definitely 1.1. So, but yep, so keep in mind that. And you usually have to transfer them in batches of 1,000. For Capital One, I think it's 100. And I think for Wells Fargo, you can transfer 1 point. But from like American Express and Chase, you have to usually transfer them in batches of 1,000. Sometimes it makes more sense to transfer points to one airline but fly another. An example would be booking an Air France flight through Virgin Atlantic, which is an example I have in this video actually. The next one you need to hear out is the annual fee. Now this is a pretty easy one to get behind, but it's basically the fee that is charged every year to hold the credit card. But the one that I wanted to go more in depth on is what's called the effective annual fee. And an effective annual fee is the annual fee of the card minus of the value of the credits you use. This number can be negative, meaning you are earning more than you are spending on the annual fee. And I have in big words. Remember, the effective annual fee should only include credits that fit your lifestyle and you would use before or use naturally. Using credits you will never have used before just to justify the fee is not saving you money. So let me give you an example of this. If you have the Amex Platinum card and you use the Saks Fifth Avenue credit, and you had no intention of ever before using the Saks Fifth Avenue, like going to Saks Fifth Avenue, or you're not buying something at Saks Fifth Avenue that you would normally buy, you're not saving money. You are spending, you're getting something for free, but you're not saving money because you would never have bought it on your own. Now, I'm not saying that you can't save money. Like, for example, the Lululemon credit. I would have never shopped at Lululemon on my own money on the Platinum card, or for example. But if I have money to spend there, there's definitely stuff I could buy and use that I get value out of. So if, like, for example, if I want to buy a jacket or pants or underwear or whatever, I need those things anyway. I may not buy them from Lululemon, but I would buy them from somewhere else, so that's fine. But um, it needs to fit your lifestyle or a something that you would either have already bought or would buy somewhere else or whatever, something like that. That's the only way you're getting money. If you're just buying something just because you have it for free, which I'm not saying you shouldn't do that, because there's going to oftentimes be a lot more credits than you'll use, but I'm not saying not to do that. But if your entire justification for the credit card is just stuff that you would buy anyway, I would not recommend it unless there's a good earning rate or something. Credits. So I should put statement credits on it. Honestly, I don't know why I didn't put it, but basically, a perk the card offers that has a direct cash value and are often reimbursed as statement credits after you use the card somewhere else. So I'm going to get into a little bit, but we're not really going to talk about statement credits, but it is a good thing to know when you're seeing cards with annual fees. Earning rate, and this is basically just how many dollars, or sorry, how many points for every dollar you spend in a certain category. So, for example, the Sapphire Preferred earns you 3 points per dollar on restaurants. So it would be defined as 3x, and if it's a cashback card, it'd be 3%. And then speaking of cashback. So cashback is just a credit card rewards program that are just given as cash as a percentage each dollar spent. So if it's 3%, like if it's a $100 bill and you get 3% cashback on restaurants, it's you get $3. Cashback equivalent. So that's the reason I do bring up cashback, because we're not going to talk about cashback that much, but it's important when you're considering your whole strategy. Is the equivalent you would earn as cashback if you account for the value of the points. So the earning rate, and we'll talk about cents per point in a second, it's the earning rate times the value of the point. So cents per point equals cashback equivalent. So if you do a redemption that's worth 2 cents per point, and you get a card that earns 2 cents per dollar or 2 points per dollar, your effective cashback is 4% cashback. So that's why I bring that up. Sign-up bonuses. So a sign-up bonus is pretty easy. It's basically just an amount you get for opening a card. It is basically an introduction bonus you get when you open the card, requiring you to spend a certain amount of money a certain amount of time to earn a specified number of points. This is usually way more than you would get if you just spent the normal amount normally, and is a great way to jumpstart your rewards journey, and is important when deciding what cards to sign up for. Sometimes you may only sign up for a card just for the sign-up bonus. For example, like an airline credit card. I don't really have much use for airline credit cards. You usually don't actually get great earning rewards, but if you have a great sign-up bonus on an airline credit card, I may sign up for it just to get that bonus and then not use the card again. Make sure, though, you have a plan on how to meet this bonus before you get the card. And the last one of the terminology is credit card ecosystem. So a collection of cards, usually 2 or 3, but sometimes more, but usually it's 3, that collectively earn points in a single point system. This usually consists of 2 special category cards, usually like a dining groceries card and then like a rotating card. And then 1 catch-all card with a higher flat rate, but that just doesn't have any bonus categories. So it's called the catch-all card. It's just basically it earns the same amount of points on everything, but it's usually a higher amount than the like sort of catch-all category. So calculating point value. So this is the big thing when we're talking about credit card points. The points themselves don't have a specified value. The value changes for every single redemption you do. So because of that, you need to calculate the value of these points. And the way we do that is we do it with a unit called cents per point. And this basically how many pennies each point is worth. So, for example, the way you calculate this is you take the cost if you paid cash minus the cost of fees with points, because when you do a redemption, you have to pay the taxes still on most of the time. Sometimes you don't. So you take how much you would pay if you just bought the ticket itself, and then you subtract that from the fees you have to pay with the points. Then you divide that by the number of points for the redemption, and then that gives you the amount in dollars, and then you need to multiply it by 100 to get cents. And we're going to talk a lot about cents. If you've ever seen that video about the guy calling Verizon and then they're not knowing the difference between dollars and cents, the whole thing is in cents. So if you see 3 cents per point, it's 3 pennies. Each point is worth 3 pennies. Just make it easy, because I have a lot of like fractions of cents in here, or some fractions of cents in here. So if you see 0.9, it's not 90 cents, it's 0.9 cents, just to make it clear. And to make it easier as well, so you don't have to use the formula, I've actually made an Excel spreadsheet that's on the website, so on the beginner's guide section of the website. So swipeandtravel.com/beginners-guide. I'll put the URL here, and there'll be a QR code at the end of the video, and it's in the description. That you can download this. It'll be a Google Sheets link, and you can go and click File and download it, or you can make a copy and save it to your own Google Sheets. But this is how you get the cents per point.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
I don't need you to understand. Anyway, so to make it easier to understand, I've made a real world example. So here's a flight I found from Miami to Charles de Gaulle, Paris. So the flight from Miami to Paris is on Air France and it's booked via Virgin Atlantic. It cost 12,000 points and $163.80 in fees. If you pay cash, the cheapest flight is $552, although we'll explain why it's really more expensive if you actually take into value what you're getting with the points. So using the formula, if you take $552, you minus $163.80 worth of points. I should have put the dollar signs there to make it easier. That's my bad. And then you divide that by 12,000 points and then multiply the whole thing by 100. You get 3.2 cents per point. So every point is worth 3.2 pennies. So that's good, but you need to also consider something. Consider that points flights most of the time include a seat selection and free checked bag, which is something you usually have to pay for. If you go back to the Air France example here, you need to pay at least $100 more to get that. So it's actually probably more like 4 cents per point, or maybe even like 4.5 cents per point. But I just wanted to show you the cheapest flight to give you like the absolute worst case scenario on how much money you'd be saving. And because some people may not need seat selection or checked bag. But if you do, you need to account for that in your calculations. And a note, I didn't do that in this example. I was just trying to make it easy. But make sure you are comparing a round trip flight if you are arriving and departing from the same city. So I often won't do this. I'll actually go into one city and then I'll go to a different city and then fly back to the U.S. Like abroad from a completely different city, and I'll travel around. But if you're going, let's say, only going to Paris, you want to make sure you are comparing your with points your flight to Paris and your flight from Paris with a round trip flight, because round trip flights are usually a little bit cheaper than just 2 one-way flights. So you need to consider that. But in terms of calculating value, that's not how you would do this. Or how you not always do it, I should say, but you will need to do that occasionally, depending on how you're doing it. So just keep that in mind. So now you want to determine what is a good value of points. So how do I know how many cents per point is a good redemption? So I have it here. If it's worth 0.1 or 0.9 cents per point, do not redeem. This is worse than cashback. The only exception to this is for non-transferable point systems, and this is mostly pertaining to hotels and hotel credit cards. And the reason is because on hotel credit cards, the earning rate is very different. The points are worth less. For example, Hilton points are worth like half a cent a point on average, but you earn way more of them. For example, on the Hilton, I think it's called the Aspire card, you earn 14 points per dollar, or 12 points per dollar. That's the 14 is the higher one. You earn 12 points per dollar whenever you book with Hilton, and you earn like 6 points per dollar on like groceries, which is like you're never going to see that unless it's like a limited time thing. So you're earning more points to offset for the lower point value. So you need to keep into mind that specific thing. But if we're talking about airlines mostly, and transferring from credit cards to airlines or hotels, that's a bad redemption. You want to be getting a better redemption. Like, for example, I was saying with Hilton and American Express, one American Express point is worth 2 credit card points. And if we go back here to the formula, the number of points for redemption, this should be number of credit card. Unless you're not transferring points, this should be the number of credit card points you are transferring, not the number of points you are receiving. Okay, so if you're doing that example for Hilton with the one Amex point equals 2 Hilton points, you should put the number of American Express points, not the number of Hilton points. So keep that in mind. That should be the number of credit card points, not the number of points you are using in the rewards program, unless you're not transferring points at all. Then that's that number, but then the calculations are different. So continuing on with this, 1 to 1.4 cents per point is decent. You could do a redemption with this, and it won't be a bad value. However, it's the same or slightly better than cashback. I would personally recommend um, higher redemptions because you can easily find them. I found one pretty easy just randomly. Um, but if you need to travel somewhere and you have and slash or you have tons of points and you just need to get somewhere on a specific day at a specific time, whatever, and you have tons of points, or you just need to and you need to save a little bit of money, it's fine. You're not shooting yourself that much in the foot. 1.5 to 2 cents per point. This is a very good redemption rate. It will let you earn many more points than you would get on cashback because, for example, if we're going to talk about cashback cards versus points cards, although this one's a hybrid card is what I would call it. If you are earning the Capital One, the Capital One Saver card, which is 3% cashback on restaurants, and we'll compare it to, I guess, the same card. Instead of getting 3%, if you're at 1.5 cents per point, instead of getting 3% cash back, you're getting more like 4.5 percent cash back because, or like, because your cents are worth 1.5 cents per point. So even though it's not the 2, which is like sort of why I go for the optimal, you're still earning more. But if it is 2, you're earning 6% cash back instead of 3% cash back. So this is where it makes sense. But if it's less than that, then the payoff isn't quite as much. Greater than 2 cents per point is insanely good. Now, I found one that was 3.2, but most of the time you're not going to find that. The only one I really find that you consistently get these really high earning rates is Virgin Atlantic. Virgin Atlantic, I've gotten like 16 cents per point from a flight from London back to Miami. Now, that's pretty rare even for Virgin, but 3 to 4 to 5 cents per point on what they call their super savers, which are pretty common, by the way. I would say like there's like 4 or 5 flights a month they have that are super savers that are these like really low redemption rates, but they tend to charge more fees, but still a pretty good rate. You're going to be saving a lot of money on cat. Like you're saving tons of money, especially if you get lucky and you find like a 16 cent per cent per point valuation. And if you're on like a 3% card, that's like that's like 45 or 47% cash back. I mean, that's like really good. So if you see that redemption and you can make the trip work, just go for it. Now, we've talked about using or like the value of points, but we need to talk about how to earn points. So the easiest and most common way to earn points is just by spending on the card. So the base earning rate for any card is usually 1 point per dollar. If it's anything less than that, that sucks. Usually debit cards sometimes have a lower redemption rate, but usually 1 point per dollar. Travel cards or other cards like the Chase Freedom Flex or not really the Discover card because it's a cashback only card for now, but the City Custom Cash and whatnot have like sort of different earning rates, but are not travel cards, but they do have high earning rates. So the higher earning rate cards will have usually a 1 point or like a 1x multiplier for everything, and then certain categories will be higher. So for travel cards, it's usually dining, groceries, and or travel. Like if we take the Chase Sapphire Preferred, that's 3 points per dollar on dining and 2 points per dollar on travel. When you're picking a card, try to find ones that have higher rates on your most used categories, usually around 3 points per dollar or 4 points per dollar or 3 or 4x. So, for example, if you don't mind the annual fee or you can use the credits, the Amex Gold card, it's $325, but you get some pretty good credits. We'll get you 4 points per dollar on groceries and dining, which I'm pretty sure for most people is like 80% of their credit card spend is groceries and like restaurants. So I would say that's pretty good. And then another card you want to consider would be called a catch-all card. And this is cards that have a flat earning rate that's higher than the base rate. So basically they have like let's just say for this example, 1.5 or 2 points per dollar or percent cash back or points per dollar. Sometimes I'll explain why I keep conflating the two. On like everything. So it'll be like 2 points per dollar on everything. But it doesn't have any bonus categories. So the max you can earn on that card is 2 points per dollar. So you want to have like a setup that would have like maybe a specific card for specific spending and then like a card for everything else. We'll talk about ecosystems in a minute though. How to earn points still, so continuing on, the quickest way to earn points is probably a sign-up bonus. Now, a sign-up bonus is basically just you spend this much money, I already said it, but basically you spend this much money in this amount of time and you get this amount of points. So like the Amex Platinum card, for example, often will have a bonus, spend $8,000 in 6 months and get 175,000 points, which is really good, by the way, if you can make it work. So that's the quickest way to earn points, and it's a good way to get started on points. So this is your way you get started to jumpstart your earning, because it takes a while to earn points naturally in the beginning, but if you get this big jump start, then you can sort of catch up and spend points and whatnot. The last one is referrals. And this one's a big one for me. You will always hear me talking about referral links in the videos, because this is a big way for you to help me without even like giving me money or anything like that. And basically, although I will be fair, if you're referring someone and they want to get a card, you can refer them, like do the best for you. But if you're not using anyone else's referral, use my referral. If you have a friend or something and they want you to use their referral, that's not a problem. But if you don't have any other referrals, you use my referral. It's a really big help. Anyway, but a referral basically is just you sending someone, they apply for the card, they get the card, and you get a little bit of a kickback. This is a sort of way for saying, hey, thanks for getting them into the card. Here's 20,000 points, for example, as like a reward for you signing them up to get the card. So it's a good way to earn points, to tell you the truth, and it's completely free. So I mean, there's usually a limit on how many you can do in a year, but like I got like 40,000 Amex points last year just from referrals. Also with Amex, believe it or not, they also have something called retention offers, or or upgrade offers, and sometimes other banks have this too. Where basically like, hey, if you keep your card another year, because you think about quitting, if you keep your card another year, we'll give you another sign-up bonus without you having to sign up. Or if you upgrade your card to, like, example, if you're going from a gold to a platinum card, we'll give you a sign-up bonus or an upgrade bonus if you spend this amount of money, and this amount of time to upgrade. So that's a pretty common way of doing things. But we're going to talk about ecosystems now. So you'll notice that most of the time, there's not a one card that does all your spend. There's the closest one I'll find that would be the one card to fit all your spend is the, if I can pull it out of my wallet, pull it out of my wallet here, is the Citi Custom Cash, the Citi Strata Premier. It has the best earning rates. It's a Citi card though, so but in terms of like one card to fit all, honestly, I think that's the best one. But most of the time, and even with that card, you're not going to have one card that earns you the maximum points or does not fit all your spend. So you will usually need to have an ecosystem that usually consists of about 2 to 3 cards. In a lot of cases, a card that is advertised as a cashback card, this is why I kept conflating the two, will actually serve as one of the cards, but you will get what's called a gateway card that can let you turn that cashback into points. This is the Sapphire/Ink Preferred cards with Chase, and on Capital One, this is any Venture card or a Spark Miles card. But yeah, and then you will use that paid travel card as your or sometimes it's a free card, as a way to convert that cashback into points. So I have on here, I recommend having 2 full ecosystems from different banks, although you may want to omit a card depending on if you don't spend a lot of money on travel, you may not want to get the Amex Green card, for example. There's more examples of this on the website, but I'm just going to talk about the most common one, and this is the Chase Trifecta. So with the Chase Trifecta, your core card is the Sapphire Preferred with an annual fee of $95 a year. It earns 3x on dining, online groceries, and streaming. It earns 2 points per dollar on all travel and 1 point per dollar on everything else. And as I said, it's a gateway cards, allowing the other 2 cards to exchange their points to transfer partners. Because if you just have the Freedom cards without a Sapphire or an Ink Preferred card, you can only redeem it for cashback or for Chase Travel or gift cards, and usually your maximum is 1 cent per point. Occasionally not, but you're pretty much limited to 1 cent per point. So these cards, so the Freedom Flex earns 5% cash back on rotating categories, although on one of them right on this quarter it's actually 7%, and 3% cash back on dining in drugstores, 1% on everything else. But again, like I said, with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, this percent turns into points. So it ends up being 5 points per dollar and 3 points, although I would use the dining on the Sapphire Preferred because the way that the points bonus works. But something to note quickly about the Chase Trifecta with the Freedom Flex, which is why I'm sad I don't have mine anymore. It can be up to 7 points per dollar on overlapping categories. So, for example, dining is a category for 5%, but because the way Chase works is it's not 3%, it's 1% plus a bonus 2%. It's 1% plus a bonus 4%, and because on this one that's dining on the Freedom Flex there's a bonus 2%, so it's really 7% or 7 points per dollar on dining for the next 3 months, which is insane for a free credit card or technically $95 card. So fortunately I have the Visa version, which only has the 5 and not the 3%. So I'm limited to 5 points per dollar, but still that's really good. And then the Freedom Unlimited has these same two categories, but it has a flat 1.5% earning category on everything else. So in this setup, the way it would work is this would pretty much be your dining and travel card. The Flex would be whatever the categories are. Like, so for this month it's dining, but last month it was like department stores, which was like eBay, which was really handy for me because I got a lot of this equipment on eBay. And then PayPal was an awesome one because we were paying for Christmas gifts. And then on those not on none of these categories are being covered, you would then use the Freedom Unlimited as like a thing. So if you're buying like a TV or something that's not in any of these categories, you would then use the Freedom Unlimited to get that 1.5 instead of the 1. So here's the fun part you're waiting for, is how to spend your points. So in most cases, airline travel is the best way to send your points. Seats.aero is the way I'm going to do, is how I usually will look for my flights. It's what I did for the example here. I'll show you Seats.aero in a minute. But it's the best way to find rewards flights. Remember, rewards flights usually include seat selection and a free checked bag, like I said before. This is sadly no longer free on economy flights, and be sure to consider that if you use that. Make sure you compare a round trip flight if you're arriving and departing from the same city, as I said before. If the math works out on using that formula I showed you, transfer your points to the transfer partner, especially if they have a transfer bonus. And, enter your loyalty number on the credit card website, pick the number of points you want to transfer, give it a few minutes. It says it takes up to a day, but usually it's within the hour. Once you transfer the points, you can make the booking on that website for the airline or whatever of your choice. And so, real quick, I'm going to show you Seats.aero. All right, I'm on the wrong monitor, so if you're wondering why I'm looking really in the wrong direction, is why. So you can pick here. I have the airports I use often, which are Tampa and Orlando, and then I have EUR. This is just to Europe. You can put like USA, EUR, like these like regions. So if you don't necessarily want to go to like a specific place, you want to go, I don't know, just want to go to Europe, I just put like EUR, and you pick your dates, and then it also lets you pick plus or minus how many days. So if you have like, if you're flexible, please pick this because it lets you find cheaper deals for these flights. So I picked plus or minus 3 days in this thing, and I picked the date I wanted to leave. Hit search, and I have the paid version, by the way. I recommend the paid version for $10 a month or $100 a year. It just gives you so much great value, and I literally use this website like almost daily to find points and whatnot, point flights. You're going to see one that's a little bit weird because of Lufthansa, so we're going to ignore Lufthansa. But once you find the flights, I would click here to sort by economy, but if you want to sort by premium economy or business here, you can sort here. The green means it's a direct flight, and the blue, if you see blue, like here, it means it's a non-direct flight. It's a connecting flight. But yep, we have one from Orlando to Charles de Gaulle, 12,000 points, $160. On American Airlines, there's one here, but you'll notice that sometimes you'll see airline or partners that aren't within your network. So you would go click here to transfer partners, and this lets you limit what partners you want to use. So I want to use American Express and I want to use Chase. So it's only going to show me uh, systems I can transfer from these airlines or from that credit card program. And then if you want to, like, let's say I only want to use Virgin points, or I only want to use American Express or American Airlines points, or I only want to use United points, whatever, you can also click here and do that. Or you can actually exclude things. So if you're like, oh, well, I have a lot of these points, but I don't have these points, you can exclude them as well. And you can exclude, like, I want to exclude whatever. So it works for both. It works pretty good. And I love too is you can put multiple cities in, like here, and you put like it's fantastic. It's a really great website. So that's really the basic using it. It's much more complicated, but this is the basic way to use it. You can use multi-city codes. Yeah, right here. Here's all the multi-city codes. Let me go back here now, and we'll talk about the last thing before I stop the video because my camera's getting hot as well. And that is a little bit more, but are points and or miles better, always better than cashback? No. Sometimes cashback is better, especially when you get a 4 or 5% cashback with many store cards. So for me, the big example for this, sorry for the burp, is Amazon. The Amazon Prime, or for the Prime Business Card for me, is 5% cashback on all Amazon purchases. Now, the best card for me to use on Amazon that's a points card is the Blue Business Plus, which earns 2 points per dollar. At 2 cents per point, which is my recommendation for cashback, like equivalent when you're trying to figure out if you want to use a cashback card or a points card, use 2 cents per point. That's pretty much what you should aim for, and it's not common you get much higher than that. If you use 2 cents per point at 2 points per dollar, that's 4% cashback equivalent. But if I use the Prime credit card, I get 5% cashback. So for Amazon, I use the cashback card because I get more value out of the Amazon credit card with cashback than I do with points. Sorry, the camera overheated. That's why I was kind of rushing a little bit at the end, but I just had to like cool down for like 10 minutes. Anyway, like I was saying, are points and miles always better than cashback? No. As we're using the Amazon example, it makes more sense to use the Amazon credit card. As I said, to calculate cashback percentage, basically the number of points per dollar times the cents per point. So, for example, if it's 3 points per dollar and each cent is worth 2 cents per point, like I recommend, it's 6 cents, 6% cashback equivalent. And that's why I wish the camera lasted a little bit longer. That's pretty much it. You basically have all the knowledge needed to get started with your credit card journey. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment on one of my YouTube videos, including this one, or DM me on Instagram or TikTok. If you'd like to do a consultation, which I will do for you for a very small fee, but I will do it, email me at jakefoster@swipeandtravelwithjake.com. I'll go over with you everything you need to do to have your perfect Awesemo credit card set up. And for more information about more information about the guide and videos and whatnot, go to swipeandtravel.com/beginners guide. I'll have this videos on there as well as some other videos I recommend. And if you go to the homepage on the website, you can see a bunch of different stuff. So that's my recommendation. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video this Friday. So bye-bye.